Okay, I'm going to make this a quick video. I'm getting some questions about the astrology I'm doing and why you're not the sign you thought you were. I do not use Western astrology. I'm using where the stars actually are. Stellarium shoots out of every observatory on the planet. It's the same as getting a telescope, walking outside and looking at the stars. Western astrology is based on a chart that was created 1700 years ago, at the same time the New Testament was. To me, Western astrology is the Antichrist. Let me show you what I mean. It is the mutable cross instead of the fixed cross that they are serving up. Okay, it's changeable and it's ruled by Jupiter. Let's do it this way. Do I got a calculator? 23.5 degrees is how off the chart is, times 72. Why 72? Because the sun takes 72 years to move 1 degree. So we have 23.5 times 72 equals 1,692. You can add a few years to this for the leap years, because a circle is 360 degrees instead of 365. So you're looking at approximately 1,700 years ago, exactly the time the New Testament was created. And the master astrologers that created that book came from the Vatican. And they called it, they were Greeks. They were scholars from all over, 2 ages. They were the scholars, the Babylonians, that came out of the age of fire in conjunction with the Europeans to create this new religion. And to keep perpetuating the lie of religion instead of the truth of astrology, astronomy, cosmology. They lied about it. It's the mutable cross itself. We've done talk about Christianity, that this is a Christ mark. So we're talking about an anti-Christ T. And you got the text, the TXT. You got the Christ T and a T. And the way it works is the one who has the spring equinox becomes the Chris. You're the X that marks the spot. And we have the wrong one. We've been serving the mutable cross. To be a pope, you must be on the cardinal cross. To be cardinal of the earth, you must be Capricorn. In their chart, Capricorn is at the top. But we've never had a pope that's a Capricorn. In Western astrology, he looks to be. But he's Sagittarius. He's on that mutable cross. They always pick the mutables. I'm going to do a video on which it's hard to do because we don't know if they're telling us the truth or not about these people's birth dates. We can't trust any doctrine that's written. You can get some of the truth out of it, but we'll never know the whole truth as long as this lie continues to be perpetrated upon humanity. But clearly to me, they have us over here. We're still stuck between Aries and Pisces, between these ages. We have been. Astrology's been stuck over here for 1,700 years, and it refuses to move. And the lies that go with it. They're having you watch the battle of fire, Aries, and ice, water, Pisces in the Game of Thrones, when actually we're over here at the event horizon where water meets sky. This is the main event. We're at a late night double feature picture show. We're at the main event, but they're still serving up the Game of Thrones over here to you in this battle of fire and ice. When we're in the battle of the midway Pacific, right? The Pacific Theater, the battle where the Navy was destroyed by the Air Force in World War II. To me, that's how I see it. That is the lie that's perpetrated. You have, let me do it this way. You have two zodiacs. One of them is Western Astrology. It's off by 23.5 degrees. W is the symbol for magic in Egyptian. Its number is 23, and it's all about the flesh. And that is definitely the age of water. We are water bags. We're water babies, mostly water. And then you have sidereal astrology, which again, there's that serpent, that wisdom. Had a comment yesterday about this serpent wisdom and all this. Isn't this bad? We're told to be as wise as serpents, but as gentle as doves, which is the air sign. Dove means you're pointing to the air signs. They tend to be very gentle-natured people. Especially the Aquarians and the Librans are about peace, harmony, and all of that. So keeping in mind all of this when you are dealing with Western astrology, because a lot of people's like, no, I don't like what you're doing. The other one fits me better. I don't want to be Libra. I want to be the Scorpio I was, or to that effect. Well, you know, we can all be what we want to be. But when you start moving around signs, you start toting a cross that is not your own. And that seems to be the magic spell they've cast upon us in this age of the Antichrist, the Christi. But to me, the legends of the heavens, in Arabic, you have Arabian Nights, 1001 Tales. All of it's about their legend of astrology. And a lot of that is served up to us. Disney served a lot of that up to us. You know, Disney is an anagram. And down under, it's Sydney. They just invert Disney to Sydney when you go down under. It's just another key on the flip of the language of how they do that. There's many videos I've got on the Bible, Bibble Babble, and what they've done. But they are connected. The Bible is an astrology book. This is the legends that tell you how to read the maps, how to read the stories. Stellarium is full of all the old legends. The Aztec, the Chinese, the Egyptian, the Japanese. You can learn so much. The Macedonian, the Romanian. And you can learn all these different legends. And then you'll start to see these same stories. Listen closely. You'll see these same stories on the big screen on your TV. In that black box, like they said in Space Odyssey 2001. It's full of stars. The black box is full of stars. Well, all of those stars follow a script that is given to them by the Screen Writers Guild. A guild is the same thing as a lodge, or a fraternity, or a secret society. And the stories they write come from the heavens. And when you start to see that, they're telling you who these archetypes are. They're helping you. But if you're running on a chart that is 1700 years old, and you're not carrying the cross you're supposed to, then I don't know how on this earth you plan on achieving anything that will benefit you. It's like this whole age was a waste of time. But we did get coagulation. But now we're at distillation, where that water is taken away and we move into the air. This is a spiritual sign we're moving into. A lot of breakdown over that book is not a spiritual book. It never was. It never will be. Only you make the magic come real in your life. When you oath to it, when you accept it, and then when you go out and perpetuate it. That's why I dislike evangelism. It is not the job of men. Evangelism belongs to the Holy Spirit. You don't choose it, it chooses you. Jesus said, you didn't choose me, I chose you. King Arthur picked the Knights of the Round Table. Saturn picked these houses. Saturn deals with astrology. Saturn deals with restrictions and boundaries and borders. And that's dividing up these houses. And Saturn's been out since the beginning. Well, now Saturn's coming back, and he's going to set these houses back in order. That is the new Jerusalem coming down from heaven as a bride adorned for her husband. That is the new zodiac coming down from the air sign of Aquarius, given then, and for the sun to travel through. She's a circle. It's a her. She's a circle. It's a her. And the sun travels through her. And we are manifested here in this reality. So, back in the age of Egypt were the great builders. The Freemasons still venerate this constellation and keep this knowledge until this day. But now we are moving into the age of the great alchemist, the great astrologer. No longer will we serve the architect or the archetypes of these three ages. Venus will be included because she does rule with Saturn, but Mars and Jupiter will not. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, the house of Saturn, but when Mars is here, he is under Saturn's thumb. Saturn's got this, is all I can say. And from doing these charts lately, and the pattern that is coming out, and I'm learning so much more. I have done, literally in the last 10 charts, 6 of them all had Saturn in Capricorn, regardless of when they were born. And that just kept showing me over and over again how all these people that have this Saturn in Capricorn are called to the same thing. It's quite incredible how I've watched it manifest. So, and then see it play out in the different charts and in the different people's lives. I wish everybody could do this. It's one thing to do your own chart. It's one thing to carry your own cross. But when you start toting everybody else's around and giving them their crosses, I have to know your cross before I can give it to you, so I can explain it to you. That's a whole new ball game about learning the wisdom of the heavens. My Venus is here in Aquarius, so I'm loving this. It's something, if I could do it as a full-time job, I would. It's just not that profitable. It cannot sustain me at this time. Not at the way I'm doing it anyway. But to me, this information in your crosses should be given to you freely. Everybody should know how to go to the heavens and pick up their crosses. Unfortunately, for 1700 years, in the Western traditions, you've been given the wrong cross. That is not your burden you're carrying. Don't many of you feel like, this is not my life, I don't belong here, what's wrong with this place? Then get rid of those old traditions in that and start walking in the now and in the tomorrow. Walk in the canal, in the know, and get out of this blind faith and let go of the traditions of this law laid back over here. I can't tell you enough about this God of the Old Testament, this God of the burning bush. People need to wrap it into their mind that this element is this element. His name is Ahura Mazda, Vulcan, Molech, I am that I am, or the burning bush, or whatever you want to call him. These are these fire gods. But he's just one. He's just one fire god, and he manifests himself in 3 different ways. This was manifested as Cardinal, the most high fire god. Next, ruled by Mars. Next, the next time fire hits Earth, it's going to be over here in Sagittarius with Jupiter. A fire in the mind, that philosophical fire. Ruled by Jupiter, not Mars. And it's mutable. Those changing ideologies as we come out of Cardinal Earth. This is way in the future. The zodiac reads, there's 4 different stories in one legend and one tradition. You have the story that goes this way, and then the story that goes the other way, and you have it in the sun and the moon. So there are 4 different ways that this story is told. It's told in our personal lives on a very quick day-by-day scale. But in the backdrop of the heavens, the story of the sun is ages and eons long. And a lot of people want to contribute that all to one age. Oh, all of this happened over here. No, it didn't. The book of Revelations is talking about the entire zodiac. What is, what was, and what is to come. The whole thing. The whole thing is described in that book. And to talk about an Antichrist, an anti-cross, the cross that comes before, well, that was the mutable cross. And we see where that got us. Got us into chaos, confusion, slavery. Just ripped our self-esteem apart with the guilt and the shame the church laid on everybody. They fleeced the sheep to no end. They pass around their little silver moon plate and make you think if you put money in there, you won't die and go back to hell over here in Aries. I mean, it's ridiculous. There's nothing ridiculous about this alchemy and this kind of astrology. But I still consider myself an amateur. I'm not even a novice yet. But definitely naturally initiated. This is not something I chose. It chose me. And a lot of you are coming on my channel. You're starting to become aware of the same thing about yourselves. You're being reinvented. Your lives are being torn apart. This is a great time of change, especially those affected by that mutable cross, because Uranus is in there, retrograde, rebellious, and outer transformation going on right now, all through this age and those on the mutable cross. But that's my take on the Antichrist, or the Antichrist. You can look at it as you will. If anybody represents this character on the earth, it is the Pope. He's the Antichrist. Jupiter, the Antichrist. And here between the ages, the half-fish, half-man Dagon character definitely is the Pope. So to me, he's the Antichrist. All right, I think I answered that question. The difference between sidereal astrology, Western astrology, where it comes from, what its purpose is. I did the timeline several years ago, and it was called 1, 2, 3 Lock Box. And it had to do with the song Sammy Hagar wrote. And the Jews, they still start their clock over here. The Masons, they still have their clock back over here. They've got everybody locked in the past. 1, 2, 3 lock box.